So we got the core rebuild here with my man DJ. Just had abdominal surgery. Want to get right back into rebuilding confidence into that area.
And today was, really the first session coming back to try to re-engage, try to reconnect the focus. And I think it were really good. I mean, for where I was 3 days ago, 5 days ago, the rebuild always sucks, man. If we're just being honest, like anytime you wake from anesthesia, there's always some numbness, some tingling, some inability to fire certain muscle groups, and it's really what I have in my core right now. Like the front of my abs still sore from the injections and all the different ports they put in me, but my obliques, I feel like I can't get them to fire. I picked up a light suitcase the other day, just really trying to fire that opposite oblique, and I feel like it's pulling, but I can't engage it. It's like a normal like crunch, like a flex. I'm not getting any muscle activation. It's really okay. Now that we're back here at Gumby baseline, like how do we slowly but surely start getting that muscle memory built back in?
Do you have any idea how hard it is to keep DJ Shipley out of a gym? It has taken everything to be like, hey, let's wait. Let's wait another week. Let's wait. We have to hold off. Let's be progressive with what we're doing. That dude is ready to go. But I love it. I love it because we want to build on that notion of mental scar tissue lasts longer than physical scar tissue. We want to get right back in it. I've heard him say over and over again how important training is to his mental health, to his routine. So I know the faster we can get back to restoring those habits, the faster we can get him back not only to a better mindset, but also better into his vessel of movement and being comfortable and confident in his body. This is kind of day one of really challenging that core, seeing what we have, and we're going to kind of get into some movements and see what we can get out of this.
Do it, man.
Cool. Let's start down to the ground. So we're going to start down with this plank, very basic movement or challenging the core, challenging our pillar position, but just want to put him in a position he's comfortable with, he's confident in, he knows what it feels like normally so that we can kind of recheck back with how things are going. So same thing with this plank, DJ, how are we feeling?
I feel strong, I feel sturdy, I feel like the front of my core is engaged. But, the last 2 weeks, it really feels like my lower back's been spasming because I can't really brace my core too hard.
Yeah.
Like when I do, I'm trying not to compress too much, all the stuff they moved around in there. But like as I try to really crunch on that diaphragm, I can feel my lower back spasm, which I never felt before.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, certain muscle groups not firing.
So something we've talked about with DJ when he's standing around, we are big proponents of bracing, staying tight through our core, like DJ said, protecting his back. Everything about the core and rebuilding that area of confidence is about the things that we've cued in the past, creating tension, using that tension to support the spine. But we're really trying to get away from that with DJ right now, having him exhale through movements, having him try to create that rigidity without his breath being the constraint, pushing up against that abdominal wall because of the surgery that he had. But when he's having this abdominal surgery, we don't want to have too much stress, too much of that bracing. So having him strong from an exhale. So a lot of the movements that we've been talking about and now we're trying to get him back into is instead of compressing down, creating that can, he's going to have this individualized look at exhaling while still remaining with this pillar position. It's going to be a lot more difficult. You can kind of see him shaking here. He's not relying so much on creating that pressure, getting that air pushing up against the spine for that stability. He's having to kind of create it on his own, squeeze his glutes. Are you still able to get your glutes involved with this, DJ?
Yep.
Let's get 2 more breaths. Remember, stay relaxed. Stay relaxed. We're still tight. Exhale slow. Inhale equally slow. 1 more. Equally long exhale. Nice. Reset. Break down.
It's definitely a lot harder now than it was a couple weeks ago. To me, it's really weird when I can't fire them on command. Like if I just can't stand there, if you think about like flexing a bicep, if you just can't do it, your arm bends, but you just can't engage that muscle group. It's a really weird thing to do, and that's really what's happening with my core. So when I walk now, it almost feels like my spine is kind of stacked in a bowl of Jello. The only thing I can really lock in is my lower back, so it puts me in this weird position to where if I take off tension off my lower back, I can feel my core kind of spasm and kind of give in. So when I get in and out of chairs, when I start to descend, it feels very unstable.
What are you feeling? Do you feel a difference between the left versus right? Because most of those, the surgery and stuff that is on the right side. So do you feel a difference?
Both feel equally numb, like on both sides of the oblique.
Yeah.
Like I can flex the left side a little bit more, but my right side, it feels like Jello.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to brace, and I can feel my lower back like really start to lock in there. I tighten my glutes, and it feels like everything is just on my lower back. It feels like, just my individual abs are firing. Everything else is kind of just mush.
Do you feel any difference on your backside because of that, being able to have less firing on your right side, like the opposite QL on the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can definitely feel it more on the right side.
Okay. Let's go down to the lateral bridge now. So now everything that DJ just kind of said, bringing his hips forward, thinking about the surgery that was more on the right side of his abdominal wall. Now we still want to make sure we're rebuilding that tissue. He mentioned in the past that he said he felt like he didn't have much activation on that side. That can be something of that feeling, that sensation of not only awareness, but being able to contract. So a low-level isometrics like this lateral bridge, a good way to kind of strengthen that area, drive some intent there with no movement, that he can kind of really just promote good strength, focus, trying to contract without too much of a load. Bring our hips up a little bit higher, DJ. He mentioned a little bit of difference on his QL on the backside of his body, his left versus right, which makes sense if he doesn't feel so much of awareness on the front side of his body. Remember, the core is a 360 view, the spine's involved, everything works together. So if something, relax. When he talks about his core, everything's involved. I like to look at it like a suspension bridge. If one wire breaks, something has to pick up more tension. So when you say I don't have much activation on my right side, that feeling, that sensation that's just subconscious is going to relocate in other areas because it's going to pick up because it's used to holding your frame, holding your body type. So now it's interesting to see how your body's going to organize naturally.
First session back. Humbling to say the least. Yeah, man. Obviously you can see I stepped in the hospital at 232 and came out 205. Kind of maintained 205 and slowly built up. I was 208 this morning. Really just walking is the only thing I've really been able to do. A little bit of arm movement, just try to keep some blood flow in there, but haven't really done anything with the core. They took 6 dials and kind of punched through my stomach, so my abdomen wall's been compromised. So I'm not trying to really compress this thing. And if I'm being honest, doctors are saying this. They definitely don't want me in there lifting right now, but I don't consider this lifting. It's just part of the rebuild process. Me and Vernon being really smart with it. Wound care and not trying to cause infections, not trying to get anything too dynamic. But when you come out of anesthesia, there is a disassociation between muscle groups you used to be able to fire and just overall body awareness. And my core was one of my strongest features because I was really connected to it. Like I can really isolate it in. I can really lock it down. I understand my full range of motion. I understand my inhales and exhales and how to maximize everything I have. And right now, I just don't. And it is so foreign to me. Yeah, as soon as I raise my hips, I can feel it. That's why I keep touching the side of it. Like I'm actually trying to flex it and I can't. As soon as I pick my hips off, the muscles fire on their own. So it's nice to feel the activation. It just sucks not being able to control it. Like typically if I'm really trying to brace now, I'm trying to lock in, create as much rigidity as humanly possible. I really tighten, I flex everything down. I just can't do it, but my body's naturally picking up.
Do you feel holding that position? Let's go back to that position one more time, that lateral bridge. So normally when we do this, I'll tell DJ, I want you to kind of squeeze your elbow to your heel. It's almost like he's trying to bend the ground underneath him, lifting his hips up, creating that sort of, not a full rainbow, but that sort of shape. Can you get much involvement from your lats and your serratus on that right side, or do you feel a hiccup on that as well?
Yeah, I can definitely engage my lat. I can feel the pull. Yeah, I mean, everything's locked in now.
Perfect. You're going into a slight posterior pelvic tilt. Glutes are involved. Are we getting anything relocating on this lower back on this side?
No.
Okay, good. Hold this position just for a couple seconds. Let's do 2 more breaths. Nice long exhales, holding this position. We haven't held those isometrics yet. So where are you feeling like breath, like you're already starting to kind of sweat a little bit, like you feel your blood pressure going up? Yep. It feels good though.
Yeah, just trying to maintain the posture, and the only way I can do is just try to lock everything down.
Yeah.
Like typically I just focus on just my core, just the lats, trying to compress everything down, trying to create that rigidity. Now that I can, it's like, well, if I just tighten up everything by default, it should. And it feels like it's stable. It's much more tiring than it normally is.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. It doesn't hurt.
So pretty basic movements. Now I want to add some more movement in. Once again, DJ's been training for a long time, so he needs a little bit higher input. So we're going to go next to a suitcase carry, just challenging that lateral bridge, just with some movement and those impulses as we walk. Let's stand up and add that in. Going to our feet for the suitcase carry, something we include weekly in the GBRS performance program. We're going to safely pick this up, DJ. I've never think I've told DJ to safely pick up a 60-pound dumbbell from the ground, but Please, for the love of God, pick this thing up safely.
If any of my doctors are watching this was shot weeks after surgery. Weeks. It's December 4th right now. So I don't get fucking yelled at. No.
Yep.
You good?
Safely picking it up. Overly rigid, but remember, we're not bracing too heavy. We're not trying to place too much stress on that tissue. And all we're going to ask him to do is that same suitcase carry, staying rigid, staying straight across the ground. Good constant steps, good extension of the toes as we walk across. Bringing it back. Remember, exhale. Don't be too braced here, DJ. Exhale, nice and smooth. He's very smooth, so there's not too much of an impulse every step he takes. He's very thoughtful every step he takes across the floor. Hitting that other side, we don't want to just constantly train one side. A big thing during rehab is really focusing on the side that's hurt or side that's injured. We want to create symmetry and get back in the mindset of training bilateral, training everything together, back to a component of being healthy, training for longevity. How you feel?
Better than I thought I'd feel.
When we did the suitcase carries, that was a movement where I was like, this is something we've done so often in the past. I mean, we've went up to 120 dumbbells with these carries. So by having him grab a 50-pound dumbbell, I know he's going to be like, this is nothing. This is not even enough. But even watching him reach across his body to grab that dumbbell off the ground or off the dumbbell rack, you're just instantly as a coach seeing that going, just wondering, because he's been complaining so much about limited motion, being tight through his core, the worried about his lower back. I mean, watching the dude that can deadlift a house 500 pounds, watching him get up out of the chair, supporting his body is kind of crazy, because when you see his physical body, you're like, man, he's fine. He's good. But then obviously knowing what he had happened to him, I think about 3 weeks ago now, 3 weeks ago, you're like, okay, we need to be cognizant with this. We need to be aware of our body and our positions we're putting ourselves in, and we need to be mindful of our movements, our breath that we have, and the tension that we're creating through his core. Yeah. Do you feel, cut you down the middle, do you feel yourself drifting to the side?
Just a little bit. I'm trying to counter it.
Equally countering both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like a normal counter that you would step with. Do you feel any difference on the back side now? Now we are involving that lower back a little bit more.
No.
Left versus right. Okay, good. Let's progress it one time. Let's go up and wait just one time.
I'm in.
Let's pick this up mindfully.
Mindfully.
Never thought I have to remind DJ about picking up his weight safely. You're locked in, sir. Don't be so slow across the ground this time. Let's pick it up a little bit so there's a little bit more impulse when our foot strikes the ground, driving us back up a little bit more. There he goes. He's still smooth across the ground, driving that big toe into the ground each step. Bring it on back, DJ. Keeping our pelvis underneath us. Remember, exhale. We're not holding our breath the whole time. We're not trying to brace too much up against that spine. Just involve what's going on with the left hip, the right hip, working our way up that lower back. Notice anything with the increase in weight?
I didn't think that would be as good as it was. I mean, being able to grab, 70 pounds on a suitcase carry, I was super stoked with that. Didn't hurt, didn't feel any twinging, anything real dicey. I felt strong. I felt like we could have definitely done more. It's weird for me because all the cues I've had over the last 5 years with Vernon are creating stability, getting a breath, bracing, really just, trying to crush down on my core to create that stability and that rigidity. And now that I can't do it, it really puts me in a weird position because it feels super normal. It feels natural. My grip feels strong. My posture feels strong. And as soon as I go to engage an oblique to really keep myself down the path, it's just not there. Feels like I'm more connected to it wherever it goes.
Because you have to engage a little bit more?
Yeah.
Do you notice a difference? Because how you normally engage is you drive intent, you create brace. Do you feel like a struggle, like you can't quite get there from an awareness standpoint?
Yeah, like I'm almost just trying to fake the funk and hopefully engage. Like if I feel my obliques, if I have enough weight, I can feel it lock in. If not, I'm almost trying to create that artificial torque into it.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm trying to lean my body and it's not engaging. But if the weight's heavy enough, like I notice a big difference in 60 to 70.
Yeah. Okay.
And I feel like it has to be engaged now.
I feel like when you have a high enough training age, it's difficult because it's like you can easily just throw around a 50, 60 pound dumbbell, even though you're supposed to start from there and work your way up. Yeah. But you have to like get to a certain weight before it's like, okay, I have to take this serious. Yeah. Besides that, you're just like, man, I can just carry this.
Well, yeah, I mean, like breathing control and everything else, like because typically I get a big ass breath, I'd really compress, I'd drive everything down. I don't want to do that because all the stuff I got going on here. I'm not trying to, cause any kind of overpressure issues right now. That's really what I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Trying to be mindful of the breath, and it's a really good cue for him. Just keep the breath moving the entire time. Not trying to build it up. It's not like a 500-pound back squat. It's not what I'm bracing for right now.
It's like poetry, like
Exactly.
smooth inhale, smooth exhale.
Yep.
Going back to that lateral bridge on the ground, just adding some movement in. So we held that isometric. Now we're just gonna kind of play around with that tissue a little bit, going into these hip drops, lifting up high. Let's slow it down a little bit, DJ. Remember, equal inhale, equal exhale, and you stay moving throughout that entire breath sequence. Dropping in, exhaling slow, inhaling, pushing back up to the ceiling, exhaling slow, inhaling back up to the ceiling. Let's get 2 more. Exhale, inhale up. 1 more. Inhale, exhale up. Money. How's that feel?
But you can definitely feel that.
Definitely one of my biggest worries was that lateral bridge with that hip drop, getting him into that lengthened position, loading that area of his abdomen. Kind of concerned about having that big loaded stretch, even though it's his body weight, just the body weight of his torso. That's still a lot of stretch, a lot more than he's been getting into. But once again, we want to get right back in that. We want to challenge that tissue. We don't want him to become almost a shell of himself, worried about movement, but those constant little touches of exposure to stress, lengthening that tissue, being confident there, just those micro wins stacking up, that's going to build across all of the lifts that we're doing as we get him back into the GBRS performance program. Feel it around where your surgery's at, or?
No, you can feel like higher in my oblique, almost where my lat kind of comes across and connects.
Perfect.
I feel like I can engage the lat, which caused me to engage the obliques.
Does it feel like you're getting too much of like a stretch when you're in that dip position?
No.
Cool.
No.
How are we feeling that on the lower back with that?
Good, surprisingly good.
Okay.
Like just walking around the last couple weeks has really sucked. My first day out of surgery, I think I made it 400 feet.
It was wild how little movement you had.
And then, I tried to do a 20-minute walk like 5 days later. I think I made it half the distance. Took me 40 minutes and slowly been building up. I've been getting in 20-minute walks every day, but last night was the first time I've been able to do them consecutively without having to stop.
Nice.
So, slowly but surely building back into it. Yeah, just coming off anesthesia, it sucks, man. Anybody who's ever had a surgery, you feel like you're not yourself for a long ass time. And I feel like the sooner I get back in here, I start, reconnecting with my mind, the muscles, and everything else. It comes back a lot quicker. But it is a strange ass feeling to just not be able to do it. It's like the phantom pain when dudes lose a leg or something. I hate to be that comparison. But it's like I feel it, but I can't do anything about it. Like I can't flex it. Like I can't engage with it. It's a super trippy feeling.
It's an interesting conversation because it's like you have an injury. Like that is a thing, but it's not like such a physical ailment that you're like, this should be holding me back.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I'm fine, but I can't do something. Like with that mindset, how does that feel? Like you're like, I'm good, but I'm struggling to get up out of my chair.
Yeah.
Like that's got to be a weird mind fuck.
Or like you'll go to get down in a chair, I'll grab my arms, I'll lower myself down, and my lower back is just quivering. I'm like, what is happening? It's because I'm not engaging my core at all.
Yeah.
And we talked like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Like, because I've walked around with 40% tension in my core as long as I can remember, and now that I can't do it, I feel really vulnerable. Like I'll go to get out of a chair and I'll stand up, we'll do a walk.
Well, you said your lower back feels like almost weak. Like
Yeah.
you feel yourself getting into those compromised positions.
Yeah. And then because I don't want to lean too far back, head goes forward, my head goes down, a lot of neck pain, a lot of trap pain. So then when I walk up now, I'm trying to get my sternum up, trying to get my chin up, I'm trying to force the position. But it's hard, man, because every time you lean back up, I can feel it kind of stretch. God, it's just uncomfortable. I'm just trying to figure it out. But yeah, getting better every day.
Okay, so we had that lateral bend. Let's add a little bit more rotation with one more movement. Cool.
Slowly but surely chipping away on it, man, but that's why I got the wizard. We sit down, we see where we are, find out my limitations, and then slowly but surely just build upon all those every day. Just successful little wins stacking up, and hopefully it'll get me to the right side of optimal here really soon. I know we're planning for an 8-week rebuild. I think we can do it faster than that.
Next, we're going to go with this kneeling setup. We want to add some rotation. We're going to add a slight little variation, a little wrinkle, having a base of support here with the bench so DJ can kind of like rotate off of to kind of create some torque on that lower body, and as well so he doesn't have to generate too much tension from the lower body, but really focus on that rotation around the spine. I'm going to grab this. He's going to kind of be biased behind him a little bit, so he's kind of rotating and reaching behind him, and I'm really cueing him to drive that right glute, and then from there, push that left knee into the bench, rotating open. Really let that stretch happen on that right side, DJ. pull across. Think about trying to centrate that rotation of where it's starting from. It's starting from the spine, that middle line of your abdominal wall, pulling it across. There you go. Don't think about moving the weight with your hands. Think about moving it from the center of your body. If I had a pull from DJ's head going straight down through his butthole, he's just spinning around it. Rotate open, pulling across. Let's get 2 more reps. Nice and slow, rotating open, keeping those hands up a little bit higher. There you go, 1 more. Rotate open. Slowly control it back. Reset.
Yeah, having a bench definitely helps. Locking the right glute definitely helps. First 2 reps, I didn't have it. As soon as you cued it, it makes it feel so much more natural, and then I don't have to have any momentum to kind of generate that initial pull-off.
Yeah.
Everything's braced in. I'm not pulling with my hands. It basically sleep and fix and take my whole core and just rotate it.
So what we don't want to have you is all this core work to be so rigid without movement, because your job is moving, being fluid. How did you feel reaching across, like that stretch happening across your abdominal wall?
Definitely the first time I've done it since surgery.
Feel comfortable though with that reach? Okay.
Yeah.
When I was cueing of starting that reach from like the center line of your body and not leading with your hands, does that sort of make sense?
For sure.
Okay. And then that QL on the backside supporting that rotation. Were you getting any sensation out of the lower back when you were rotating through?
No, like I have my right glute so fired up, which is nice that I can actually fire the damn thing.
Yeah.
So as soon as that thing gets locked on. And the other thing with hand position, keep my hands down here. I feel stronger. I feel like I can generate more momentum. But if I bring it up kind of in line with my eye line, you can't cheat it anymore. I have to just use my core.
Yeah.
It's very hard to just get momentum just to jerk the whole thing.
Yeah.
If I get down here, I can really dip in. So yeah, keeping it flat and level in my eye line is definitely a much safer way to take it off.
I don't think I cued it during the movement. What was your breath sequence when you were rotating through?
Big inhale across and exhale back. Inhale across, exhale back.
Just smooth poetry through both?
Yeah, just trying to feel it out, because sometimes it'll feel better if I do an exhale on the way in and inhale on the way back. For me, I just try to play with it.
Cool.
Yeah, just trying to see what feels the best.
Those are some of our movements that we're going to progress through in the next couple of weeks as we get DJ back into the GBRS Performance Program. Honestly, I think today went a lot better than I thought it was going to go.
Yeah, dude, like you see me 5 days ago, man. Like I couldn't even get out of bed. I'm like, I got my 6-year-old trying to give me a hoist up, so like,
yeah,
it is coming back faster.
Watching this guy labor around with this is just
not even a cool story.
It's a terrible story.
Yeah, whatever.
And we're going to keep progressing this. We're going to keep y'all in the loop. Got anything else?
No, man, we're going to keep chipping away at it every day, 1% better every day. Motion is lotion, man. Apply daily. You know, I didn't want to take any time off. They made me take a week off. And
you're smart.
Yeah, I mean, the
the right move.
That's what they do. But for me, like, my mental health tanks really, really fast if I'm not in here. So if you guys have seen my morning stories, I come in here, I'm just kind of walking around the group, just trying to absorb some positive energy. Vernon won't let me do anything.
The walk is a little bit slower than it normally
It's
is.
a little bit slower than it typically is. Yeah, my 20 minutes turned to 40-minute death marches pretty quick. But yeah, we're getting back.
Hell yeah.
It's good though.
Hell yeah. We'll keep you guys in the loop. We'll show the progression as we keep going, getting back full throttle in the GBRS Performance Program.